Welcome to yoga number 2. Let's start at the top of our mat. We're going to go through a few flows. So arms up, hands to the heart, flat back, fold forward. It's our first forward fold of the day, so slight bend in the knees. You can grab the elbows and sway side to side. Starting to release some of the tension from the back, the hips. Gently work into that stretch. Let's come up flat back and fold. And let's step back into plank. And we're going to come down to knees, chest, and chin. Hips lifted, chest on the mat. And you're just going to shift forward into low cobra and gently press back into down dog. It's our first down dog of the session, so walk the dog, slight bend in the knees, start stretching out the hamstrings. And let's just lift a leg, and we're going to open the hips, so bend the leg, open the knee out to the side, back to that three-legged dog, and switch to the other side. So from there, opening the hips, so the foot comes across the body, and then back into the three-legged dog, back into down dog. You can walk your dog again, and step forward into forward fold. Deep stretch all the way up. Inhale, hands to the heart. So let's progress the flow. Forward fold. And flat back. In that forward fold, you want pressure in the ball of the feet. It'll help you keep the legs nice and straight, really stretch out the hamstrings in the back. Deep breaths and step back. So now we're going to go into chaturanga, arms bent 90 degrees, and shift forward into up dog. So hips and thighs are lifted off the mat. If you want to stretch the hips, you can sway side to side. Press through the palms of the hands, shoulders away from the neck, and shift back into down dog. You should be able to get a little bit deeper into your dog. Step forward, forward fold, deep stretch all the way up. And again, progressing our flow, let's add a little back stretch here. Swan dive forward. Getting deeper into that forward fold. And flat back. Hands to the mat. Bring the hands down and jump back. As you jump back, you're going to go right into your chaturanga at that time. And again, shift into up dog and into down dog. So, jump the feet in, back to your forward fold. You can grab your yogi big toes, help pull yourself into the stretch a little bit deeper, and stretch all the way up. Arch the back, open the lungs. And last time, stretch up, forward fold, so moving a little bit quicker through your flow this time. Flat back, hands back down to the mat, jump back, chaturanga, lift up into up dog, shift back into down dog. Slight bend in the knees, spring forward, back into your forward fold, and stretch all the way up. So now we're going to move on to our Warrior 1 series. I'm using a light set of weights, so I'm using 3 pounds. If you want to use weights, choose a very light pair. I wouldn't go over 5 pounds. So left leg bent 90 degrees, the back leg is straight, the foot is out to the side about 45 degrees, arms are straight overhead. Hold the pose about 10 breaths. Opening the hips, opening the lungs, starting to build some warmth in the quads, in the glutes, and the hamstrings. So a little endurance here. Now we're going to rep it out. So as you lift the arms up, you're going to shift and bend the knee, sinking into that squat. So you want to think about just pressing into that front heel, engage the glute, engage the quads and the hamstrings. We're working our shoulders here. So slow and controlled movements. Don't press into your knees, don't put the pressure in the ball of the toes here. And hold. From here, we're going to shift into high lunge. Hold the weights up chest height. And we're going to perform jump lunges. Nice and controlled movements. So 10 jump lunges, and then let's switch over to the other side. So again, sink into that position. If you need to adjust, make small adjustments, and then hold for 10 breaths. So work on balance and endurance here. Start building some flexibility in these poses. So again, put pressure in the heels. Use your glutes and your quads to control the lowering and the extension of the leg. Work the shoulders for those arm rotations. So 10 reps. Hold, stretch up, and shift into that high lunge. And again, 10 jump lunges, nice and controlled. So next, keep the legs wide. We're shifting into our Warrior 2 series. So again, front legs bent 90 degrees. This time your back foot is going to be perpendicular. So you want your foot kind of facing the opposite wall. You want the arch of the back foot to line up with the front heel. Your arms are out straight, in line with the body. Make sure that your shoulders don't lift up into your neck. Keep your shoulders down the back. So after holding 10 breaths, we're going to rep it out for 10 reps. So as you lower, you're going to lift the arms. As you extend the legs straight, you're going to lower the arms. And hold. Now we're going to shift into a little windmill and work the abs. So you're getting a little bit of a stretch here, a little bit of shoulder work, a little bit of ab work. So nice and slow, and then hold. And linger in that stretch for a second. And let's shift to the other side. So again, carefully work into that position. Hold your warrior 2 for 10 breaths. Your arms may start to get tired at this point, especially if you're using the weights. So just do your best to keep your shoulders out of your neck. You don't want them lifting up. Hold that strong pose, and if you have to, you can always set the weights down. So once you've held for 10 breaths, you're going to perform 10 reps. And pause for a second at the bottom. Now we're going to shift into our windmill. Just a few reps here. Kind of linger on that first rep. Slow, controlled lift. Slow, controlled lower. And on the 5th rep, we're going to hold at the bottom, linger in that stretch, and then let's lift up. So we're going to sink into a plie squat. Now we're going to move on to a little bit of plyometrics, 20 jump lunges, 20 jump squats. Just remember, heel toe to lift. So once you perform the squat jumps, set our weights down, deep stretch up, and slower. So hold that deep squat, and then let's shift into a stretch. So bringing your head towards the mat, bend the arms, straight legs, legs are wide, and bring your hands to your hips and lift up, flat back. So moving on, we're going to perform our Warrior 3 sequence next. So let's go through a flow, forward fold, flat back, and now let's jump back, chaturanga. From chaturanga, you're going to press into a low lunge, and we're going to perform a few low lunge jump switches. So slow, controlled movements here. So now we're going to do a couple tree push-ups. So just like we would with standing tree pose, you're going to bring the foot to the inside of the thigh. You're going to hold that position and perform 2 push-ups. So 2 on each side. And then let's continue our flow. So let's go to inchworm. So knees, chest, and chin. Shift forward into low cobra. And let's press back into down dog. And you can walk your dog. Things might be a little bit tighter. Today's a bit more of a power yoga routine, so you're getting a lot of strength, you're getting a lot of endurance, along with the meditative movements. So back with our weights. Start in high lunge. So back leg, you want to think about not bending the knee. You want to think about keeping that leg straight and engaged, so you're engaging the quads and the glutes. And from that position, we're going to shift forward into warrior. If you want to try the full warrior 3 pose, you can extend your arms. If your back and if your shoulders are tired, you can always keep the arms in at the chest. But if you're ready for the challenge, try to hold the pose. 10 breaths total. So back to challenging our balance. So now we're going to shift from warrior 3 into high lunge. From high lunge back into warrior 3, and we're adding a fly. So we're adding a little delt fly when we lift back up into that warrior 3. So a nice meditative movement here. But again, it's very challenging for endurance. So you're getting some good resistance training here as well. So there's a lot happening. So try to keep all of those muscles engaged. Think about the movements. Perform everything very carefully. So once you complete your last rep, you're going to hold warrior 3. You're going to continue to hold, and from there we're going to perform wide rows. So you may lose your balance a little bit. That's okay. Just gently place the foot down, regain your balance, and get right back into it. So let's just do a little stretch just to work out some of that tension. It doesn't look like much, but it gets a little intense in the moment. So just a small moment of recovery, and we're going to perform that same routine on the other side. So starting in high lunge, hold for a couple breaths before shifting into warrior 3. So from that high lunge, you're really pushing into the heel, engaging the glutes, the quads, and the core. If you want to try the full movement, you can extend the arms overhead. If you're fatigued at this point, just keep the hands in at the chest. Once you've held this for a few breaths, we're going to move on to that moving meditation from high lunge to the warrior 3 and delt fly. So 10 reps. You may be better on one side than the other. So again, just take your time, have patience with this. Keep breathing through the movement. Stay concentrated, stay controlled. It's all right if you lose your balance again. I completely lost my balance there. So just gently get back into the position. So we're going to hold warrior 3. As you're holding that position, we're going to perform wide rows. So a little more back and shoulder work here. And gently release from that position. Let's perform our little side stretch. And set our weights down. Nice forward fold. There's a lot of tension in the back, in the hamstrings, and the hips. So just try to gently release that. So flat back. Hands down to the mat. Step back into plank. And let's perform mountain climbers. So we're doing traditional mountain climbers first, and then you're going to go right into your twisted climbers. So 20 each. And let's go into our first child's pose of the workout. So knees wide, feet together. Think about sinking the chest in through the legs. Now we're going to do a little bit of a quad workout. So, knees are bent. You're going to start tall, back flat, abs in tight. From there, you're going to lean back. So you're really going to engage your quads, and you're going to slowly lower and slowly lift up. So you're not bending your back at all. If you feel like your back is moving, I want you to take smaller motions here. You want all of the control to be with the thighs. So just a few reps back and forth. And hold. So once we hold, it may look silly, it may feel silly. You're going to perform little glute squeezes. So on each side, you're going to think about engaging your glute muscle for a small little pulse. And then from there, we're going to stretch. So bring the hands to the heels, push through the chest, arch the back, open the lungs, look up and breathe. Pull your shoulders back. It's a really nice shoulder and back stretch. And then we're going to carefully come up. And shift back into your forward fold. So let's just do a little hip and hamstring stretch. And switch to the other side. So right leg bent, right hand down to the mat. Left arm up straight, left leg straight. Breathe. Both hands back to the mat. Forward fold. Flat back lift. Fold. And stretch all the way up. Deep breath. So now let's come back down to our mat. We're going to work the abs a little bit, so keep your weights handy at the side. We're going to work a boat pose. So let's go modified first. Hold. Deep breaths. In through the nose, out through the nose. Think about filling the belly and the lungs. And then right from that position, you're going to extend the legs straight into your full boat pose. And again, hold. Deep breaths. So now let's rep it out. Modified. Tuck the knees into the chest, extend the legs out, carefully lower the back down to the mat. Just 10 reps. Nice slow and controlled movements. Extend on the mat. And now we're going to perform full boat reps. So keep the legs as straight as you can. Lift the legs, lift the chest, reach the hands for the feet. Again, 10 reps. And breathe. So come back up into your V-seat, grab your weights. So lift the legs, hold that modified boat pose, and we're going to perform twists using the weights. Careful, controlled twists. Take a deep stretch up once you've performed your reps, so 10 reps. Now back into our modified boat. Hold the arms out to the side. And we're going to alternate foot taps to the mat. Again, once you've performed your reps, take a little stretch up. Deep breath. We're going to set one weight to the side. And next, we're going to perform leg circles. So we're actually keeping our legs stable in that modified boat pose. We're going to circle the weight around our legs in one direction first. So just quick. It's a small little tuck that you're doing with the knees as you move the legs through, and then reverse the direction. And then set your weight to the side. So stretch all the way out on the mat. Full body stretch. Perform your lion's breath. So deep inhale, arch the back, pull the back off the mat. Strong exhale, squeeze everything back in. So inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Bring the knees up. So we're going to move into our little bridge series. So heels close to the butt, knees a couple inches apart. You want to shimmy your shoulders underneath, press your hands together, straight arms, and you're going to push through your chest and squeeze your glutes to lift up. So good strong inhales here. It's a nice stretch for the back, the chest, the neck. You're engaging your glutes and your quads. So you're stretching and building endurance here. Take about 10 deep breaths, and then slowly lower the back down to the mat. Bring the knees into the chest, roll the back out on the mat. And let's bring our heels back to the mat, close to the butt. Now we're going to move into full wheel. So palms by the shoulders, push through the heels and the palms, arch the back up, squeeze the glutes, and hold anywhere from 5 to 10 breaths. And carefully, slowly lower back to the mat. And again, let's bring the knees into the chest, and this time we're going to grab our yogi big toes and move into happy baby pose. So knees in towards the armpit, arms to the outside of the knee, and you can gently rock side to side. Nice little hip stretch and a nice little massage for the back. And you can extend the legs to stretch even deeper. So we're starting to slow the pace here a little bit in our power yoga workout. So from there, bring your legs straight up, and you're going to shift into plow pose. So bringing the feet overhead nice and slow and controlled. It's a very intense stretch. So legs are straight out over the head. Stretching the back, push through the toes, engage the quads, and breathe. And slowly, carefully release from the pose when you're ready. Slowly lower the legs back down to the mat. And then lift the shoulders right before you lower the legs all the way and hold. Just one more little round to engage the core. Gently bend the knees and let's switch sides, and we're just going to come up into our quadruped position. From there, we're going to shift into a little bit of a headstand prep. So hands are clasped behind the head. You're right on the top of your head. So a little bit above your forehead is on the mat. Arms are bent, forearms are on the mat. Legs are straight, you're pressing through the toes, and your goal is to eventually shift until your body is perpendicular. So just a little prep there. And let's shift into child's pose. And just hold for a few breaths. Just release any lingering tension. Anything stressful you may be hanging on to, just try to let it go. Yoga is great for the body, but it's also great for the mind. So you really want to be fully attentive when you're here. You want to release any stresses you may have, anything that doesn't serve your mind, anything that doesn't serve your body. You just want to let it all go. So now let's bring our legs forward, straight out in front of you, deep stretch up and fold. You can grab your feet to pull yourself deeper into the stretch. And just breathe. So just a little bit of meditative breathing, just to, again, really release any more tension, release any more stress that you're hanging on to. So fold the legs in front. You just want to sit yourself comfortably on your mat. Flat back, shoulders down the back, hands lightly, just relaxed on the legs. Hold for a couple breaths, and then we'll perform a little side stretch. So forearm down to the mat on one side, opposite arm overhead, switch to the other side. And again, deep stretch up. Bring the hands down to the heart. And breathe. And as long as you want to linger here, just take as many breaths as you want. Release your last bits of tension. Get ready to start your day. Awesome job, guys. You've completed yoga number 2.